Welcome to another episode of FPL Apprentice, still the only podcast and series that delves into the mind of one of the greatest FPL managers of all time. I'm Dave, I've got the questions, and who has the answers? It's Matt. Matt, how are we, pal?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Looking forward to this episode. I know we've done two back to back, so yeah, we're back into the room FPL wise. Yeah, this one's going to be a good one, right? We're going to look at players by position, challenge ourselves on like are really our gut feelings, right? Have a little look at data and predicted models, but where's our gut saying
We like.
who we like? Yeah, where's our
Yeah.
intuition by position? And I think spoiler, there's no real short list, right? There's a long list of people we may like and loads of different factors at play, and then we're going to do some reveals, aren't we? So
Yeah.
I mean, we pulled together
Just
the slides, mate. So I haven't seen yours, so I'm kind of excited to see kind of where your head's at.
Well, I'm quite excited as well because we'll do a little draft reveal at the end, like with most FPL players. There's 3 weeks to go. I imagine our drafts will look very different come actual launch of game week 1. But yeah, we'll go through it, and as you say, see our drafts at the end. Well, let's dive in. Let's dive in. We start. Where do we start? We always start with goalkeepers, mate. You've got to start with the goalkeepers when you're looking at players to consider. Um, what I picked out here, mate, is I'm looking at different price points. So Edison, 5.5, most expensive keeper with the highest predicted points. Then Sanchez at 5 million. Just for those people that might like a set and forget sort of goalkeeper. But then Verbruggen, 4.5 million. And not that far behind in terms of expected points. Caveat for everybody listening: these are expected points over the first 6 game weeks. But what's your strategy, mate? Are you a generally, I think in the past you've been a set and forget sort of guy, whereas I've been more of the trading. What based on the price points you've seen so far this season, what are you thinking?
Um, I think obviously I know what you've done here. Like Edison is not really an option, right, historically, but also with Darlow coming in to kind of Man City. Sanchez seems quite popular. I get it. Like I think I would say he's a set and forget. I think with keepers and probably most positions, you just want to think structurally where you want to be at, right? So I like the 4.5s. I think there's some kind of really nice options for some decent defenses who may accrue save points. And I think we said historically um, there's not been as much difference between premium keepers and cheaper keepers. So I think there's some nice individual options at 4.5 that you could have as a set and to get, and some interesting rotations. So yeah, the Bruggen you've got up there. Obviously, we should probably do an episode where we just actually show live screen how you amend your kind of like fixture windows, why you like 6 game weeks and kind of whatnot. Because I think
Yeah,
obviously depending on that your window, it changes like who's at the top of the ticket. But six game weeks is short term, but not that short term, right? It's a nice
it's not
middle.
not with chips
No,
every 4 weeks.
it's well, somewhere in between, right? And I think caveat on this episode, we're going to talk about chips sometime late this week or next week, right? So then that will come into play, whether we're being proactive, reactive. We have game weeks in target, right? Obviously, all this comes in. This is assuming no chips exist. I like some of
Yeah,
the 4.5s,
correct.
mate. I historically I like the
Well,
4.5, and yeah,
bring up the full whack for you, mate. Full whack. So this is the top 10 expected points wise performing keepers of the first 6 game weeks. Sanchez right at the top. Those Chelsea fixtures do look nice, mate. They've got what have they got? Palace, West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, Man United, and Brighton. And now that is the competition for Sanchez last season. Petrovic, he's moved on, right? He's gone to Bournemouth, so I'm
Hmm.
assuming Sanchez is the guaranteed starter.
Yeah, I think he stands out. I think 5.0, 5.0 for sure. Yeah, I do like, again, looking at this as not over 6 game weeks predicted points according to Fix. Sanchez at the top at 22.8, and then if you go down to the top 4.5, the Bruggen 20.5. That's
Looks
There's no
different.
difference, right? That's
Definitely.
negligible, and that's before you start thinking about rotations and stuff like that. So I like the Bruggen. I like underneath him Kelleher is another 4.5 at Brentford. I like Saar as a 4.5. You've got Areola as a
Riola,
4.5. And
yeah.
there's lots of interest, and I think Darlow at Leeds might be a not Darlow at Leeds. because Melier is a 4.5, but he was dropped at the end of the season. So Leeds might have a 4.0 keeper as well, which gets it even cheaper. So I'm heading towards those cheaper keepers. I mean, who do you like?
I've always played with two 4.5 trades. Now, so I'll be honest, sometimes I get frustrated because you'll put the wrong keeper in. They'll concede and the other one keeps a clean sheet. If I was setting and forgetting it, it'd be Sanchez. I'm going to end up with one of two things, mate. I'm going to get trading keepers, or I'm just going to have Sanchez. Simple as that. Trading wise, I'm
It
just
depends
brought up
when you
on the
want to
screen.
bench boost in it. Like if you want to bench
Yeah,
boost early, you want the two playing keepers, right? So I think that
good point.
again caveat on that impacts the thinking. But
Yeah, very
yeah, I
good
mean,
point.
it's
But
interesting. So the rotations you spotted.
yeah, and I'm currently spoilers. I'm currently on the top one, Areola and Sarr, because I'm looking through. I did highlight it to make it obvious who I'd pick in each week, but it hasn't come through annoyingly. But just to run through it, I think Areola away at Sunderland. I could then probably keep him in net for the home game against Chelsea. Then I'm switching to Sarr for Everton, back to Areola for Tottenham, back to Sarr for Leeds, and then probably Areola for Everton as well. I just think there's, maybe two, three, four if I get lucky, clean sheets in there. Some save point opportunities as well against the likes of Chelsea at home and Tottenham at home. And I quite like it. But then, yeah, on the last screen we showed the top two £4.5 million keepers for expected points of Verbruggen and Kelleher, and they also trade very nicely.
Yeah, so I
Um,
mean, this would be something I think on all these we just have to form a view of how good the West Ham defense is, the Wolves defense, the
yeah,
Brighton and kind of Brentford the defenses. I think West Ham did tighten up towards the end of the year, but I'm still thinking that
yeah.
they're kind of super
Potter
leaky. So I'm
took them
just
on.
gonna just gonna check those defensive stats towards the end of the season. But yeah, like the other fixture thing is like you would get Fulham home, Everton away, Sunderland away, Bournemouth or Chelsea here, Fulham or Spurs here, United. I mean, that's a nice kind of like a fixture run as is the previous. And I think if you stretch out your fixtures further, like yeah, it kind of continues. They kind of rotate. I think both of those
Yeah,
keepers rotate fairly nicely. So it's intriguing option.
I think. Yeah, I think what I prefer over the 4.5s to the just Sanchez set and forget is number one, if he loses his place, then you haven't got another keeper. But number two, if he gets suspended or injured, at least if you've got 2.45s, you're not forced into a transfer. So that's
Yep.
probably part of the reason I play that way.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
yeah,
Leeds is one to look out for, right? To see kind of what their
the
kind of
four.
keeper situations because they could have a starting 4.0 keeper, which would be very appealing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Any 4.0 starter is always worth an eye. Talking about 4.0 starters, there might be some in the defence, where there usually is. I don't think we're going to get ourselves another John Lundstrom. Those days are over. But the defence is quite an interesting one, mate, because obviously with the introduction of the defensive bonus, two bonus points for your tackles, your blocks,
Hmm.
your clearances, and so on and so forth, all of a sudden centre backs come right into it. And it has shown, thanks on the fantasy fix model. So again, pick different price points here. But interestingly, at 6 million, 5.5, and 4.5, the top expected point scorer is a centre back. So Van Dijk, Mario, and Guy. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, the defensive contributions, like we won't, everyone knows what it is about now, but yeah, kind of option for 2 points if you get more than 11 clearances, blocks, interceptions, and tackles, and yeah, kind of like everything retrievals. If you're a midfielder, it's a really cool dynamic. Again, we'll talk about implications of this in another episode. I think we'll do that alongside chips, right? So I think it goes hand in
Yeah,
hand, like the changes in the rules. I think it's really good. I think it makes brings a lot more players, both midfielders and centre backs, in play that were kind of like redundant options historically, and I think it does make centre backs a lot more appealing, right? So centre backs typically get more minutes. There's more certainty around starts. Typically, I don't know if this is reality, but I feel like they're less rotation prone. They don't get injuries as much as well. So I like it. I like it, and yeah,
yeah.
I'm not surprised. So the guys you've got here, obviously, you've done different price points. Yes or no? Like Van Dyke, yes or no for you?
Honestly, no. I hate Liverpool's fixtures to start off with, so I'll be dodging Van Dijk to begin with. Maybe from game week 4 onwards, I'll be looking at him. What about you?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I like their fixtures too.
Even those opening, game week 2, Newcastle away, game week 3, Arsenal at home. I might hold. I
Depends
might hold out until game
who
week
you
4.
rotate with, right? 4 game weeks is a very narrow window that you put there.
It is. It is.
Um,
Yeah. From game week 4, it goes lovely
yeah,
for them,
yeah. It depends when you
as you
start
can
start
see
and
from
finish these
this.
things. But yeah, I like Van Dijk. Do you like Mario?
I like Forest as a defense. Now, interestingly, if the defense points were there last season, Murillo would have been the second top scoring defender in the game. Number 1, Milinkovic. So the Forest defense centre backs look like they could be drumming up some points. I really like both of them. I think their fixtures to begin the season are pretty solid. So yeah, I think I'll be starting with at least one Forest defender. I think. What about you?
I like Williams. I think he's 0.5. Murillo's the best centre back because like Milenkovic was a bit biased towards goals, which are a bit more difficult to predict. I'm thinking defensive contributions. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
quite repeatable game on game, right? And like teams that what teams get it, the low possession teams or deep blocks will get DEF CON. I think is kind of generally what I'm seeing based on
yeah,
who would have done last year. Mario, yeah, kind of is one of the best. That Nico Williams is quite good for 0.5 cheaper. So
yeah.
yeah, I like the Forest defense. Um, Ge-
Let's not forget about my hero Aina of the 24-25 season, the absolute legend.
yeah, he don't get no DEF CON. No,
Yeah,
honestly,
stick with Williams. I
yeah,
don't know.
no, it's quite clear. Yeah, there's a fair gap, right? So I think I'm gonna try and work for my defenders, work that stat quite hard. I think it's
Yeah, yeah,
quite. If you
powerful.
like, so a clean sheet is 4 points, right?
Yeah, yeah,
DEF CON is 2 points.
yeah.
So like, um,
Absolutely.
it makes a hell of a big
Oh, there's a
difference. Let's think if like you're an Arsenal, people traditionally would pick the Arsenal defenders, right? 40% odds of a clean sheet, right? But let's say low odds of a defensive contributions 2 pointer. If you've got like, I don't know, a Forest player with 30% odds of a clean sheet and then at least half a chance to get DEF CON, right? They become an Arsenal player, right? In terms of
yeah,
the points potential, right? So I think it's massive, yeah. And I think I'll be looking at like Van Dijk stands out as unique amongst premium defenders of having high DEF CON. Yeah, Mario was kind of really, really good. I think interestingly, Palace, yeah, obviously a good
well,
defense, a good player. He's not the one who stands out.
no, and to be honest, will he even be there, right? Because there's talk that he
Yeah,
might leave. Now, interestingly, looking at it, Munoz last season, right? If you're looking at your Palace defense, 142 points. Lacroix, is that how it's pronounced? Lacroix,
yeah, Lacroix, yeah, he's well,
whatever his name is.
he's one like if you're going to centre back, you want him. Like,
Yeah, because 140 points. So what's that difference? 28 points when you take into account the defensive points. That gap came
mhm.
down to 8. So he is going to get so many points from that
Yeah, and
defensive
again, like
contributions.
it's an important one. Like Richards, yeah, obviously fullback for Palace. He's kind of up their levels above Gay from a DEFCON point of view. Maybe we'll see if we can get a proper table for this
Yeah,
for the next episode. We'll see if we can get something from Fantasy Football Fix. But yeah, I think I like these teams. I like some of these players as well. But I think DEFCON is big. But mate, yeah, who obviously got a table here that does predicted points according to Fix
yeah,
first 6 game weeks. That is why I like Van Dijk. He's the top one with expected points of
yeah.
23.2. Um, who who stands out on this list and those that are not on this list that you like?
So I'm dodging Van Dijk because I'm a pessimist for Liverpool as a Liverpool fan. But the ones that do stand out to me, we touched on this when we did a season review at the back end of last season. The Everton defense under Moyes is phenomenal.
Mhm.
In the last 10 games of last season, they had the second best defense statistically behind Arsenal, despite playing 6 of the top 7 teams in the league in those 10 games. And for that reason, Tarkowski would stand out to me. He'd have got 44 points from defensive contributions last season. It's 22 games worth of data, man. That is huge points. So I like him a lot. I just 5.5 just seems expensive for a Tarkowski when for an extra 0.5 you can get a Van Dijk. That's what's putting me off it. But like, do you think those price points for your Tarkowski and your Branthwaite are right?
Yeah.
I'm just being greedy, mate. I'm just being greedy.
Yeah,
The other
well,
ones that I like on this,
if they
I'm sorry.
repeat their, like, Tarkowski was getting his 2 points in 70% of the games.
Yeah. It'll build. Branthwaite
So
not far behind them, by the way.
yeah, exactly. So again, we'll get a table for when we do the rule changes, but like that's quite incredible. Whereas like Saliba and Gabriel, for example, were nowhere to be seen. Right, so that's a huge change. So I think the way we've got to think about defenders and how they're priced should be quite different. You could go out as far to see that defenders from top teams are irrelevant now, and premium defenders are irrelevant.
Yeah, more likely to get the points right. More likely
Um,
to get your blocks. More likely to get your interceptions. I think
no, exactly. So who do
the
you
ones on
like?
the list. Yeah, so the ones on the list I like. Again, Forest. I'll be bringing in a Forest player. No spoilers for who's in there at the minute. I'm considering an Everton player. A big part of what I want to do, mate. I'm going to have probably two set and forgets. Right, one of them's probably going to be a City defender or a Chelsea defender based on the opening fixtures. You know, Sanchez was top of the goalkeeper list for a reason. Those Chelsea fixtures are really nice. What that price point is at the minute, I'm on a 6 million. I'm on Kukurea. There's a spoiler. Um, he'll probably go, and I might bring in a Gvardiol. I might bring in an Ep.83. My second set, I forget, is going to be my Forest defender. At the minute, I'm on Williams. That might become a Rio if I want to really bag those extra points for the defensive contributions. And then what I'm going to probably end up doing, mate, and the next screen will probably show this, is I'm probably going to have 3 rotating 4.5 million where I can play 1 or 2 every week fairly comfortably to make that third, or I can play a 4-4-2 if I want to. That's how I'm going to play it, mate. So I'm a big fan of your 4.5 million players that are in really good teams and can get some good defensive contributions. So people like Conser, £4.5 million for a really good Villa side. You've got a couple of options at Spurs, and Spurs have a nice opening fixture run. So Mickey Van der Ven, he's there. You've got Udogi if you want to play more of an attack and wing position, and then West Ham. West Ham have some nice fixtures. You've got Wan-Bissaka. From an attacking point of view under Potter, he was the top performing defender in the division since Potter came in with 6 assists. So he's an option as well. So yeah, that's how I'm going to play my defense. I think two set forget. They're going to play every week, and then a bank of 3 I can nicely rotate.
Okay,
What are you
yeah,
thinking?
makes sense. I think I'm probably going to take a slightly different approach, right, in terms of structure. I'm going to put more emphasis on defensive contribution. I think it's going to be very, very big for defenders. I like Van Dijk, and I'm not surprised that he's the top defender here. I really don't like the Arsenal options for this first 6 game weeks.
Yeah,
Don't like the Man City options. Yeah, there's great. I think there's a huge
Newcastle.
diversity of options across like every price point. There's viable 4.0 options, right? Like Roden from Leeds will play every game. Esteve from Burnley will play every game as centre backs. Those are they might have some good defense contributions too. Who knows, right? So yeah, there's some nice 4.0 options this year, which is rare.
Yeah,
4.5, you touched on them. I'm expecting Spurs to be a lot better. And Spurs have, like, if you stretch out the fixture wrong, they have a very nice long-term start.
yeah.
Van der Ven and
Mhm.
Udogi, yeah, I'm expecting them to be a lot more defensively sound than they are. A decent team. You mentioned Wan-Bissaka. There's some gems I think that they're in, like, some decent teams for cheaper prices. Like, if you look at Fulham, Anderson, kind of stands out. I like kind of Robinson, of course, as well. Yeah, and like some of the names that the kind of you mentioned. So I think there's a big diversity of options, and I think interesting decision points will be at certain price points based on your structure. Do you go for the better defense, or do you go for an okay defense with better historic defensive contributions numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, good example there would be Concert, good defense, no defensive contributions, versus I don't know, a Richards, for example,
Yeah.
from Palace. Oh, interesting. I think there's a huge amount of options here, and I think solid bench
Doing it, man.
stands out for me as making a lot of sense, and like a bit of a bias towards centre backs compared to previous seasons.
Yeah.
It
It's
will
good knowing
exist
it,
as well.
man. Like, I'm a big fan of this because the defense usually isn't where you get much in the way of differentials. This is game changing. This is the one change that I'm really excited about in this game. Because all of a sudden, your defense is going to give you an edge over people, whereas historically it really hasn't that much. So
I
yeah, I'm excited for it.
No, I agree. I really think I'm really quite confident that like those premium options are going to be kind of quite dead.
Yeah. The old gone. See you later. Um,
No, honestly, yeah,
I did mention
for sure. Yeah.
I just sold him for Cucurella. I'll see where he end up. But I mentioned I just thought this might be worth touching on. So if there's people like me that like to play, have a decent bench and rotate, there is a couple of nice options you can have. So if you want to really have 4.5 millions and you want to play one or two every week, Udogi, Concert, and Gai. Do rotate nicely. Keep an eye on Gai, obviously, if he's going to be playing, if he might be leaving. So keep an eye on him. But they rotate
Or
quite
just get
nicely.
Richards.
The fixtures,
Richards who's the better
or
option.
just get Richards. Is Richard 4.5 as well?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, tongue in cheek, but
All
yeah, I
right. Well,
think
yeah. There you go. Just throw him in. And then yeah, they rotate very nicely. So you'd happily play at least one every week, and some weeks you'd even play two. So gives you some
mhm.
options, and then a bit more expensive. But again, focusing on Palace, focusing on Forest, they trade their fixtures very nicely. So if you want to, again, just have two on the two there that you can trade, might be worth looking at them. I picked Williams and Mitchell for that, but yeah,
Yeah,
some
nice.
nice trading options, mate. Uh,
Agree.
onto your midfielders. Midfielders, unsurprisingly, Mo Salah on the screen. Um, looking at the different price points, who to pick in, and who's the best scoring in their positions. I'm not going to spend too much time on this screen because people know how good Salah, Palmer are, and Rodgers had a really good season last season. So let's just kind of skip over this one and move straight into the expected top points. So who's jumping out for you, mate?
Um, I think
Brilliant.
Salah and
Next screen
Palmer,
is going to be good.
Salah and Palmer stand out, so let's kind of ignore them. But yeah, that's reflected in them being the top two expected point scorers the first 6 weeks at 38 and 30.5. Um, yeah, I think again, like my reflections on midfielders is like there's a massive diversity of options from 5.5 upwards, really. Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. I think some of the Everton midfielders are kind of interesting, given that like fixture run is not great, but I think it's okay. McNeil appears here. He was in my original draft. I've now got NDI in my draft, who I think it's just a bit of a bug that he's not appearing here. I think he'd be appearing
He
just
should be
above
though. I think
McNeil and yeah, in kind of reality. Obviously, NDI's got the benefit of penalties, you'd imagine still, and
yeah,
also few set pieces, and like he's very good at actually being a defensive attacker. he
yeah,
gets
yeah.
uh, he gets some contributions there. Obviously, some of the Saka isn't here. I kind of really wanted to squeeze him in drafts. I think it's interesting where he fits. I think Arsenal's midfield and attackers they weren't great. They weren't exceptional. Second half of last season. I think Gyökeres coming in. Be interesting pre-season to see who's on penalties between the two.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so I haven't really said like who I love here, but yeah, Salah and Palmer I think feel kind of obvious. Like Saka feels like the next best option, so I'm surprised he's not here. Eze, Rodgers, I don't really love anyone else, but there's like lots of intriguing options, right? I like NDI. I think he fits in as a nice price point. Rice could be intriguing if he's on corners and if he can roam a little bit more. I really like Anderson from Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Starts
Wow.
you all start games, but he chips in with goal contributions, and again, you can see a theme. But yeah, he's like one of the best midfielders for DefCon, and probably the best with a bit of um, bit of attacking potential. Tillmans is another
Yeah.
one. I would say it for some of these cheaper pitch kind of players because it really does raise the floor. Like these, it's kind of quite massive if they're going to get like on average like 1 point extra a game. That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
38 for the season, right? Get it.
Yeah. Who do you
Get
like?
it. I'm with you, man. I'm with you, right? I think really like Palmer. Palmer's a lock. He ain't going anywhere out of my squad. He's the only midfield that is locked. I look at the midfielders this season, and there's so many intriguing options between that sort of your 6.5, 7.5 mid price. So I thought, well, let me bring up a table that shows who's expected to be the top scorers for 7.5 million and below. Because there's loads of options here. Eze's there. I'll be honest, the fixtures for Palace don't fill me with any joy. Their first three are Chelsea, Forest, and Villa. Beyond that, they get a bit better, but Eze's an option. Gibbs White could
Mm-hmm.
be an option now that he's staying at Forest and their fixtures. I think Rodgers is an okay pick. Half decent fixtures for Villa. NDIE, you mentioned already, who does appear on this list with more points than McNeil, even though he didn't on the last one. But there you go. I really like with the Spurs fixtures. He's not on this list, but I'm a bit of a fan of Kudus if he's going to be guaranteed a start. This is my issue with Spurs. They've got so many attacking players. Is he guaranteed to begin? So that's something I'll have to keep an eye on. And then I really like Bournemouth, mate. Bournemouth. Wait, as soon as once Bournemouth get the Liverpool fixture out the way, they've got Wolves, Tottenham, Brighton, Newcastle at home, Leeds, and Fulham. They are fixtures that Bournemouth could score a lot of goals in. So I'm kind of between Clivert and Semenyo. Um, but my point there is there are so many options in that 6.5, 7.5 million bracket that I'm kind of in danger of just having Palmer and then like three of them. And it doesn't feel right for a price structure in my team. But that's where I'm at presently.
Yeah, nice. No, I think that's viable. There's lots of good options there. Um, agree. What do you think of
Yeah.
Rice?
What about go on, Rice? Say it again.
Yeah, what do you think of Rice?
I mean, now that he's further forward, he did get contributions. He took some free kicks as well, so he gets some set pieces. And the guy's a defensive midfielder by trait, right? So I'm going to assume he's going to be getting in the blocks, the interceptions, yada yada yada. So I think he'll pick up points. Those extra 2 points for those 12. What do they call them? The 12 contributions, defensive
Defensive
contributions that he brings
contributions.
to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
table. So I don't hate him. I'm staying away from Arsenal for the first few game weeks because their fixtures are dreadful. So I'm not really going to touch them until probably game week 6, game week 7 onwards. To be honest, what are you thinking of
What
them
what fixtures do you hate?
for Arsenal?
Yeah,
Liverpool, that's in there. To hate that.
Man
They've got
United is
Newcastle,
easy,
have they
right?
not? Man United. But who
Easy.
knows? Who knows what United are going to show up? So
Leeds
this
is
is it.
easy.
This is so Liverpool, Forest. Yeah, straight after that, Liverpool, Forest, City, and Newcastle.
Okay, yeah, I suppose I think Forest is an easy fixture now myself, but I've readjusted. Um, yeah, fair enough. I think yeah, their run does get better game week 7 onwards.
Yeah, that's where I'll be looking. United away, mate. Game week 1. United are one of those teams. They show up against the big boys.
I think I get battered. I think you need to readjust like the view. I can't see anything or any players coming into that team that's making them better.
Fair play. Fair play. But yeah, I'm dodging Arsenal. What are you thinking? How are you playing your midfield then? So I'm a one premium, four
Um,
others I can play as and when I want to.
yeah, well, I'd probably have the two premiums, right, in Salah and Palmer, right. I'd imagine I'd love to squeeze in Saka, but it feels like a necessary sacrifice for like wider squad depth. Yeah, I think it's pick and choose with the other options, the sevens, the 6.5s, the 6 point things. I think I'd like some of the I think I'd like a third rotating attacker. I think I think I can get a good rotation going there. So yeah, I think Anderson stands out as an interesting option for me because he's
Yeah,
5.5 but can chip in with goals. And as I said, yeah, he's got quite a high floor based on his defcons. So yeah,
yeah,
because
nice.
like we're talking about strikers now in a second, but yeah, I like the likes of Strand Larsen. I like the likes of Evan Nilsson. I like the likes of Solanke. If a obvious option comes up in Everton, I like them. So I think there's some cheap options there as well.
Yeah,
Welbeck,
nice.
yeah.
Might as well touch on them now. Let's bring the forwards to the table, mate. Top performers of last season on the screen. Again, not going to spend too much time on this particular thing. Haaland dominates unsurprisingly for
Mhm.
expected goals for his club, expected assists for the club, yada yada yada. We'll move on from that. We know how good Haaland is, but it's just yeah, proven some points. It's an interesting one that I did work out though, mate. Here, looking at expected goal involvement per 90 last season, Haaland 0.79,
Mm.
Isaac just behind him at 0.78, Watkins 0.62, so solid. Wood was 0.47, and he's lost a Langer. What's your thoughts on Wood this season? Because Forest have nice fixtures. Is he a consideration?
At times, I think he was a bit of a dead option last year, so massively overperformed when he was doing well. He's still, but you'd imagine 90 minutes, a mid-table team, which is like where they that's kind of where they should have been last year. It's an okay option for when there's fixtures, but I'm not jumping out
Yeah,
as
yeah,
wow. He's
yeah, yeah.
a must own.
No, fair play. But there's your top 10.
Yeah,
Those are
so
in the top four alongside Isaac. Isaac could be an interesting one if he ends up moving to Liverpool, right?
yeah, well, it probably makes him a worse option. I would say. I don't think Liverpool going to score massive. But you'd imagine he wouldn't be on penalties. I don't think Liverpool going to score enough extra goals over Newcastle to make it different. Like his percentage of goal share, do you know what I mean? It's like goal involvement percentage will go down. You would imagine, right? So I don't think that's
And
a great move
he
for
will lose the
him.
pens. He
Yeah,
he ain't taking pens off Salah.
yeah. I don't think it's a very good option for Salah either. I think it makes him a worse option as
No,
well. So um, yeah, that would be interesting. But yeah, like I think yes, options here. There's a lot of uncertainty, right? So yeah, kind of Haaland is the best option, of course, but super expensive. 35.3 expected points over the first 6 game weeks. Then we've got Watkins, Isak, Wood, Visser. A lot of uncertainty there whether he goes to Newcastle as Isak's replacement or goes there anyway, right? So yeah, kind of he's uh, there's an issue there. Evan Nilsson, yeah, love. Right, obviously not on pens necessarily, but like yeah, good option. Yeah, like Welbeck, like Bowen, like Strand Larsen. Beto, not a huge fan. I think yeah. Any names that don't appear here that you like?
I mean, no. The ones that I've been playing around with in my drafts all appear on this list.
Um,
I don't think I've really brought anybody else
Solanke
in.
is the one I probably Solanke I like. Gyökeres will be an
Strike.
interesting one. Like if I'm confident he's starting and on pens, that becomes a very nice price point
Yeah.
for Arsenal.
I'm
Uh,
put off Solanke, mate. I think the guy flatters to deceive. Don't think he did
I
that
think
well
I,
last season. He's had
I
one good
think
season in his Premier League career. He's just not for me. He's one of those players.
I
It's not for me.
Oh yeah, fixtures are okay for Spurs. I think there's an option for him. I think what becomes more interesting is penalties with you know Son potentially leaving, but like potentially having being a minute's risk. I think that helps him. But yeah, like nice list of options here. Nice list of options.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you who I want to speak about. If you're cool with it, is
Yeah,
Bowen. Because the guy's changed position. Was a midfielder, now been bought in as a forward, priced at 8 million. So he's more than Wood, more than Wisser, more than Evan Nielsen, right? Bit of extra budget there. I've been looking into his stats. Potter was his manager for 15 games, and Potter was the one that put him forward, right, and put him into the attacking role. In those 15 games, he got 8 goals and 5 assists, so 13 attacking returns. when you look at the fixture ticker for attack on Fix, West Ham sit 4th. So they've got really nice fixtures for attackers. First, second, and third, by the way, are Fulham, Sunderland, and Burnley. So feel free to make an argument for any of their attackers if you want to. But West Ham are 4th. I'm a fan. Even though he's moved into an attacking position, granted he's going to lose a point per goal. I like the guy. I like him as a pick. What are you thinking?
I think it makes him less appealing, I'll say, compared to.
I might go there anyway, pal. I just think Potter's turned him, man. Potter has done something to. Again, I'm only looking at the back end of last season, but I think
he
Potter's
was running
turned him
very
into
hot.
a really good
He was
striker.
running far too hot back end of last season, so I don't think that's like reflect. Obviously, he's tried and tested and done good. So yeah, he's a very solid option there. I think it's a shame he's a forward because he's losing the clean sheet points. He's losing the extra goal point as well.
Maybe
can do well.
less inclined to get defensive contributions because he'll be the main man up top.
I don't love him.
He wouldn't have got many.
I don't love him.
I think this is where we differ. I'm a big fan, honestly. You'll see when we come to our drafts in a second.
No, yes.
This is what this is about.
I think I'm just looking at the fixtures. I think I'd say the fixtures are mixed. The first 6, and obviously you put them for the first 6. What you're missing is Arsenal away, game week 7. So that's tough. But yeah, game week 8 onwards, he has a very nice run.
A wild card in 7. Don't worry, I'll get rid of him. No. The wild card. I've got about 15 wild cards this season from the feel of it, so it'll be all right. But yeah,
he's a good option. I think the move from midfield to forward makes him, I think, less appealing.
It is annoying. I'm annoyed that he's moved, but I get it because he's going to be playing as the number 9, so I do get it. But yeah, does that take us on to our drafts? Is that where we're going? Or do you want to? Yeah. This is going to show us which players you picked from your attack anyway. So I think you're first up, pal. Your current draft. Now we're not going to hold you to this, Matt.
No, so I'm
changes by game week 1.
So obviously no one's locked at the moment. Everyone's a kind of risk here. I'd say probably Salah and Palmer as close as I'll get to people that nailed as well as Verbruggen, maybe Kelleher. What I've tried to do is create a balanced team that's a deep squad and one that with some adjustments I could potentially bench boost. So I think structurally, I think it's a nice structure, but I'll talk about where there's some kind of options. So yeah, I've got Verbruggen and Kelleher. So we've spoken about, I think Verbruggen's the pick of the 4.5 keepers because he's playing for a decent Brighton kind of team, relatively settled, but also they have okay fixtures. Kelleher just happens to rotate quite nicely with him. I think probably the Sarr Areola option is the other, right? I like Van Dijk's medium-term fixtures, so I agree with the Fix predictions that he'll be top scoring defender of the first couple of weeks. It's a nice price point to have as well that I can kind of move to any of the other 6.0s if need be. And what stands out for Van Dijk is obviously the potential for attacking returns, attacking clean sheets, but also out of premium defenders, he was by far the best for these defensive contributions. I think in over a third of his games, he'd get the 2 points, right? So he stood out for those reasons. Rest of the team, rest of the squad, got Williams as a 5.0. I kind of like the Nottingham Forest fixtures. I kind of like him as a option. Then I've got 3 4.5s that I'd be kind of like rotating alongside kind of Williams. So I've got Konsu, Dogi, Wan-Bissaka. Equally, they could be other kind of 4.5s, right? They could be likes of Richards. They could be the likes of Van der Ven. I could put in instead of Dogi, for example. I could go, work around those edges. And I think I'll be thinking of when I want to be bench boosting. So this team isn't optimized for a bench boost one, but I'm kind of probably 50-50 to target that week. I think I'll be targeting the first 3 or 4 game weeks for sure. So I just have to see where I want to land that to just kind of make sure everything's aligned. But you can kind of see the general structure kind of forming there from a defense. And yeah, I don't hate it. Yeah, midfield, Salah, Palmer, I think, yeah, kind of close to kind of locks at the moment. I think, yeah, they rotate quite nicely for captaincy options as well, which is a benefit. Then yeah, got a few different cut price points covered. I've got Rogers at 7.0 and NDI at 6.5. I don't love Rogers. I don't love Rogers actually. So I'm viewing him as a bit of a placeholder for the time being. I don't like because he's not on set pieces and his underlying stats aren't incredible, right? So he could quite easily be shifted to someone else. Who I don't know, but it could be Semenyo, it could be Clivert, it could be a Sar. I could push up to Eze if I kind of found some money elsewhere. So yeah, I don't love Rogers my team. I kind of do prefer NDI, and then yeah, I've mentioned Anderson as ideally be a bit cheaper. So I'll see if there's a 5.0 that kind of like works there. But I think he's kind of nice for the final attacker rotation. And up front at the moment, I've got Watkins. I think Villa have nice long-term fixtures. I'll be intrigued to see who's on penalties for Watkins in pre-season. Is it Tillmans or Watkins? I think that influences. If Tillmans is on penalties, I'd probably prefer him to Rogers. Actually, he had a good season. Again, he's a guy that actually does get these defensive contributions, which again, these aren't our big players that we want to score the big hauls, right? These are the ones we want to chip away at just getting regular points, right, and predictable points. But yeah, Watkins, I like. I'm gonna keep an eye on how Gyökeres kind of sets up for Arsenal early season, pre-season. That might be the punt that I go. Watkins is very safe, right? He's scored lots of points all the time. Doesn't have any competition now. If he's on pens, great.
Yeah.
Gyökeres, yeah, equally be very nice if he does turn out to be on penalties. So yeah, it's a nice price point to cover. And then Welbeck, I don't love because he's like I think yeah, he's an injury waiting to happen or like a rotation risk waiting to happen. But in theory, he could be on. He
No
probably
Pedro
will be on
to battle him.
and will be playing 90 minutes. He could become Strand Larson, like him just as much.
Yeah.
Evan Nilsson on my bench, he doesn't have a good initial fixture, but yeah, Bournemouth is okay, and like I do like
Yeah.
Evan Nilsson. He could become a Solanke. So yeah, you can see quite a balanced team.
Yeah. Get it.
Um,
I had some questions written down for you on this, but you've answered them as you've gone through them. So the only question I've got, where are you getting your DEFCON data from? You mentioned a few times in this chat about these players are really
I
good
think
for
I've
the
just seen
DEFCON.
various. I think yeah, I've just seen various Opta tables on X.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. I need to get looking into it more. I've not really come stacked with that sort of data yet. So I need to. But yeah, I like the team, pal. As you say, you can can easily see where things are movable if you did decide Rogers wasn't to go to. Plenty of other players
yeah.
at the
I
7 million bracket.
players I don't love. Yeah, don't love Rogers. Don't love Welbeck. Don't love
But easy to
Concert. Don't
move.
like Wan-Bissaka. But yeah, it's kind of when I kind of like start refining into you know who's playing and what for kind of preseason, then like my rotations and like when I'm going to be playing chips loosely, then I can kind of refine a little bit on terms of those like best rotations. But I think yeah, it's a decent. I think it's a decent start.
Yeah, steady away, man. I like it. I appreciate you won't have Rogers and Watkins. You'll have one or the other, if any. Depending on
Well, I
Watkins'
mean,
pens.
it's just the price. It's just the price point, right? They're kind of like,
Yeah,
and they do have decent
pictures.
fixtures initially. So
Yeah,
I mean, you could have them both. Yeah, I don't. Kind of we'll see.
yeah. Time will. No, I like it. I like it. Solid squad, man. Solid squad. Now, good news is it's quite different from mine. So I'll run you through mine and then feel free to berate it. I've got the other goalkeeping pairing, so we've already touched on that
Yeah, no,
earlier on
okay.
in the episode. Ariola and Saad trade nicely, so I've gone that route. Main reason I've gone that route over the Kelleher and Vertonghen route is I'm sorry to any Brentford fans listening. I think Brentford are going to get relegated this season. I think they're going to have a poor season, and I don't think Kelleher. I keep many clean sheets at all. Now we might get save points granted, but I just feel like Wolves and West Ham I'll be more assured defensively than maybe your Brentford. So part of the reason I'm thinking that defensive wise, there is no lot. So all of these are movable. At the minute, I mentioned earlier on in the episode, I'm kind of playing two guaranteeds. At the minute, that's your Williams and your Cucurella, based on their fixtures primarily. I need to look at the defensive contributions of Cucurella if I'm maybe concentrating too much on his potential attacking options rather than what he does in defence. That he could quite easily move on to somebody else. And then I like how Udogi and Concert trade in fixtures.
Mhm.
And then I've got a 4 million Sunderland player just because they've got some okay fixtures. He's never really going to see the pitch, but he's there if he's needed. Across the midfield, Palmer's my premium. He's locked. I can't see him going anywhere in my squad. The rest of them are up for grabs. Similar to you, mate. I've got a Bournemouth player on my bench. Like their fixtures apart from game week 1. So I'll end up having him or Evan Nielsen in terms of, Clive Ezra and Evan Nielsen. And then the other midfielders have got Kudus, not made up with. I like Tottenham's fixtures. We'll see if he's guaranteed game time, and then we will I'll stick with him if he is. Don't like Matoma at all. He's a placeholder. He will go. I just saw Brighton's fixtures and not fantastic. And he didn't have a great season last season, so he might
Mm.
go. I quite like Adingra. He's my 5.5 million pick. Again, he's at Sunderland. They have some okay fixtures if you look at the fixture ticker. They're second for attacking fixtures. And that Brighton last season, mate, he had 0.42 expected goal involvement per 90.
That's not bad,
Yeah,
is it?
it's not bad at all, and he's 5.5 million. So I like their fixtures. So he'll probably sit as my cheap midfielder. But if I need to bring money from somewhere, he's going to go, and he's going to become a £5 million guy, I imagine.
Yeah.
Going into the attack, I've got Watkins, same idea as you, mate. Love their fixtures, big fan. 9 million is quite expensive, but it's nice to have somebody at that price point that I can move from. Bowen, I've waxed lyrical about already. Love him. Really like the idea that he'll probably stay. He's probably a lock for me. Can't see me moving him on. And then I've gone for Haaland over Salah, purely based on fixtures, mate. I think City have a nicer fixture run. If you look at the fixture ticker, Liverpool are 19th on it in the first 6 game weeks. City are much higher up. So I also with
It
Liverpool,
it
mate.
it depends when you're going to
Go
free
on.
hit, though, mate.
It does. It does. I don't plan on free it in game week 2 or game week 3. So you know what it
Because
is with Liverpool as well.
the
Again, I'm a
reason why,
pessimist.
if you just on that point, if you exclude game week
Yeah.
6, Man City's, because they're playing Burnley, Man City's run becomes incredibly bad.
It's not great. I know it is like Wolves away is not a fantastic fixture, but their first 3 I still think are better than Liverpool's first 3. I'm also looking at it
No, I think
again.
that's fair. Yeah, it depends on like the time frame you're looking at stuff. Yeah, I suppose. But yeah,
Yeah,
agree.
I'm also a pessimist. I look at Salah, right? Because Salah's the clever and obvious missing thing here, right? And I've not been tempted with him. And the reason, not just the fixtures. I'm looking at the Liverpool squad, and this might be me being a pessimist as a Liverpool fan. But the amount of new players that are going to be in that starting 11,
Mm,
that Salah's going to have to get used to playing with. He's got Verts to play with. He's got Ekatike. He might have Isaac. He's got Kerkez on the left rather than Robinson firing the crosses.
mm.
He's got Frimpong behind him rather than Trent Alexander-Arnold firing in the passes. Like that team, who knows what they're going to look like? So I'm willing to give Liverpool
No,
those first 3 fixtures. Um, See how they do. Get the Newcastle and Arsenal games out the way as well, and then take a stand on them from game week 4. That's probably where I'm
yeah,
looking at with Salah. So I'll be very surprised if I start with Salah.
that makes sense. Doesn't
Yeah,
make
that's it. Go.
sense.
There's my team. There's my team, mate. What do you
I
what
like
do you
it.
what do you want to point out?
No, looks good. Looks good. I think uh yeah, it's good. It's a very
Yeah,
similar
steady.
structure, really. The defensive structure is almost exactly the same. Um,
Yeah.
keeper structure is exactly the same. Midfield is obviously different because you just got Palmer, but the rest of it looks kind of similar. And
It's
yeah,
purely the Haaland
strikers find
versus
it hard.
Salah debate.
Yeah, no,
Simple.
it's an interesting one. I think yeah, kind of really plans around bench boost, plans around free hit, all are going to be quite important. I think. Um,
Yeah, it's got a
I've
lot of
got
planning. A lot of planning
I've
with
got
these
some yeah
double
I've
chips.
got some kind of views on those which like do sent me down certain paths.
Yeah. And we will do that next week. We will do that next week because that, mate, that brings us to a close on this particular episode. A bit longer than we're planning on this season, but there was a lot to get into across the different teams and those initial drafts. So yeah, it's pretty cool to do it. But we'll come back next week with, I believe, looking at 2 episodes. We've got one where we will be looking at chips, looking at strategies there, and it's maybe focusing a little bit on the new rules that have come in and how that might impact certain player picks. And then we may, if we do run a second episode, we may have a special guest looking at AI in the world of FPL. So we'll keep that one under our hats a little bit, but that could be quite an exciting episode, mate.
No, looking forward to it. Yeah, I think that's good, mate. I've got more questions and answers. I think based on that, I think yeah, you kind of assessment of Liverpool and their fixtures. Yeah, that's got me
Got you
challenged a
thinking.
little bit. Yeah,
This is why we're here, Matt. You're here mainly to teach me, but if I can just fire off the one little nugget now and again to repay you, I'm here for it.
yeah. It's a tough one really because I think there's lots of options, right? But none of the good teams have good fixture runs, which has been very different from previous seasons where you would just obviously
Yeah.
load up with 3 players from Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, depended on like the season, right? The teams with good initial fixtures are pretty poor, right? It's Sunderland
Come
and
on.
Burnley and West Ham and kind of whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah, brings a different
Interesting, isn't
challenge,
it?
doesn't it?
Yeah, which is why an early wild card. But as soon as those fixtures start to swing, getting on to next week's episode potentially here. But I don't hate it. I'll have to look into it before next week. But yeah, we'll pick up then, mate. We'll pick up then. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate it. 2 episodes in the bag, 2 down. Season 3 has begun, mate. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, mate.
So we'll catch up with you next week. And to you, the listener, thank you for your time. If you did enjoy it and you did learn something, please do give us the spiel by now. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. It does help us out. We are closing in on 1,000 subs, and we would really love your help to get there. It does mean a lot to us, and it's free for you, so just a nice thing to do. But until then, best of luck putting your drafts together. We look forward to catching you up on the next episode, and we will see you then. Thanks for your